Welcome, everyone, to the MMA Happy Hour. I am Kyle Anthony, your host. Today, we are talking UFC Atlantic City, Erin Blanchfield versus Manon Furo. We're going to break down 3 plays here like we always do every weekend. And listen, like we've done every weekend for the last 9 weeks, we have cashed in last weekend again, another profitable night for clients last weekend. Unbelievable, feels great. Cashed in on our top play, our big play, which was on Peyton Talbot. Went out there, dominated, got the knockout. Really great performance overall. Felt good about it. Ended up cashing in for clients. If you want to become a client, link down in the description. All different packages, as I always say, monthly, yearly, and daily. So if you want any of those, go down there, check it out, and you'll get breakdowns on my plays. And hopefully we keep this going. I will be at this event in Atlantic City. I'll be there to be cheering on my 5% play. That is going to be this weekend. So excited. Got 2 plays up there right now, both of them at plus money right now. So excited to be there. I know a lot of people actually from the MMA community, MMA Twitter, and a lot of different people will be there. I'm definitely gonna be linking up with a bunch of people out there. So excited about that as well. I don't want to gloat a little too much, but as well as the fact that I got free tickets to this event, 2nd row tickets comped. Listen, I'm big time now, right? I'm big time now. But I'm excited, man. Really looking forward to it, and going to be a great event. And I really am excited about this main card. Think there's really some great fights on that. Also, real quickly, if you want to be in on the Underdog Fantasy Sports side of things, they'll give you a free $100. Link down in the description. Go over to Fantasy Underdog Sports. Promo code Mr. UFC, and you will get a free $100 to play with on that site. So bills paid. Let's dive into the main event of the evening, which is between Erin Blanchfield and Manon Furo. Now, this is, like I just said, this is a really interesting fight. Probably the winner of this is going to get a title shot, which I think is going to be a really great fight overall. But this spot here is one where you've got Erin Blanchfield. She's minus 190. You've got Manon. She's at the plus 155 mark. And, you know, Blanchfield right now, she is just durable. She is a tough fighter, young, really a prospect that I think the UFC really wants to bring up, and I think they do believe in her. And really this high-level grappling that she does have. And on the other side, man, and she's really, you know, a high-level striker, you know, good striking, good power, good range. She does a lot of good things on the feet. And I think this is really, you know, kind of one of those, you know, classic striker versus grappler type of matchups here, man, and going to want to create the space, work outside, throw the big shots. You know, she has shown to have power. And then on the other side, you know, you've got Blanchfield, who's going to look to cage push, going to look to get the takedowns, really going to be relentless, pushing forward and trying to keep the pace going throughout the 5 rounds or however the fight lasts. Now, when you're first looking at the statistics of this fight, you know, you look at Manon, you know, 91% takedown defense rate. And, you know, that is, I think, absolutely misleading when you're kind of looking at it here and going back. And again, I always talk about fight tape and rewatching how important that is. And kind of going back and rewatching it, you know, you really look at kind of the styles at which she has faced since being in the UFC. And a lot of them really are not wrestlers. You know, they're really not going to be someone who's going to sell out and have that ability of wrestling, of takedowns, of pressure that Erin really provides. And that has been her path. That has how she's really found a lot of success kind of doing that. And you look at Manon, you know, again, the people she has fought are just not there. And really the only one over, you know, her time in the UFC really is Tabitha Ricci. And she's probably the only one that really offers up a wrestling, you know, pressure approach, you know, high level grappler and kind of putting that together. And, you know, the issue with that, you know, again, it you know, the style wise, it could be very similar to what Erin would look to do. But in general, you know, in that fight, it was short notice for Ricci, as well as it was a fact it was up a weight class. So there's multiple things that do hurt her in that fight where Manon's going to have the physicality advantage. She's going to have the range advantage. She's going to have a lot of different things that are going to help her and, you know, and kind of create that space. And it just wasn't really the best Tabitha Ricci that you're going to get. I'm not saying Tabitha's this high-level fighter, but it was just that the style was probably there, but it was just that up a weight class, you know, short notice is going to hurt any fighter, and that really gave a big advantage for Manon. And then you kind of look at some of the other fighters that she fought. who were jujitsu players, who were girls that are going to get to the ground, who are going to look to kind of, play the jujitsu game. But the issue with most of them was the fact that they're not good at takedowns. They don't have the takedown ability. Mayra Bueno Silva, not the greatest when it comes to takedowns. She does have high level grappling, absolutely. And even Rose Namajunas, when, her most recent fight, which was a fight that, at a point was competitive, but it was also the fact that, Rose did break her hand early in that first round, which says a lot, but Rose couldn't get any of the takedowns. And one, she had one hand. But the other part, it was her debut in the division. That's really important here, comparing to, last weekend where we just saw her go out there and get a victory. And, she didn't have enough time, I believe at least, to kind of get into, the weight class, to kind of add the correct weight, feel comfortable in the weight, add a little bit of muscle. And that's always going to be the issue with anybody who's going to change weight classes and look to kind of, move up or move down or whatever it is. It's that first fight's going to be tough because it's just you looking to cut the weight or gain the weight or kind of time the weight correctly. And there's a lot of moving parts to that. And you did see, I think, a much better version of Rose Namajunas, of course, with two hands, but Rose Namajunas in that fight. And that, you did not get that against Manon. I really feel it was a very low, obviously one-handed Rose. She wasn't able to get the takedowns, and it really provided an opportunity for Manon to kind of control the action, work at range, was able to kind of scramble, stay at distance, and really work the kind of fight that she wanted to work overall. And then you even look at the strikers that Manon has fought. These are not the best strikers to begin with. I mean, yeah, listen, Caitlin Chikagian, or whatever her last name is now, definitely has the volume. We get it. She's got the volume. She's very good at, does have good footwork as well too. There's some good things there, but she doesn't have the power. She really is a pillow fist, doesn't offer up too much with that. And that's really where Manon's going to have the advantage, landing the big shots, moving forward, really, causing more damage, having the more power. And then even Jennifer Maia, who I don't really put as a high level fighter. I think she's middle of the road kind of fighter, to be honest. And she did get a takedown on Manon. But either way, I think these kind of styles and everything is something that she's just not seen when you're looking at somebody like Erin Blanchfield. Now, the keys for Blanchfield in this spot, is really going to be providing a fight that Manon doesn't want. And that's really her way to go here. I'm probably not telling you something you don't know. But really the keys is going to be the heavy pressure and the high-paced wrestling. It's going to have to be that. It's going to have to be cutting distance. It's going to have to be, trying to drain the energy of Manon early and kind of chip away through this fight. Don't let it kind of get away from you. Don't let, Manon, again, early in this fight, I do believe there's going to be a lot of success, I think, for Manon. I think that first round, we've seen that there has been issues when it's coming to just, striking defense on Erin's side. She definitely doesn't have that. But on the other side, you are seeing her kind of get a little bit better, get a little bit more comfortable, kind of mixing in the takedowns or the grappling or the level changes or kind of diving into the clinch a little bit. She's definitely kind of, starting to get some of the striking a little bit better. So I do see that in her. But either way, she's going to have to nullify some of that striking that Manon has. And it's going to be the cage push. It's going to be kind of, the same kind of things I was just saying, going to have to kind of utilize some of those things. And really, she does average 3 takedowns per 15 minutes. So she does have that. She does have the ability. And there are positions where, certain fights where she hasn't been able to get the takedowns. And even against Tyler Santos, that was another fight where, she didn't get the takedowns that she needed. She didn't really kind of provide that, but it was the pace. It was the pressure. I mean, Tyler Santos is an absolute animal. I mean, she is a monster, but she does have the ability to kind of create space. She's strong. And then she was kind of dying out as that fight went on. And that's really how this fight could go also for Blanchfield, kind of wearing on her, keeping her down, continually pushing, rinse and repeat when it comes to kind of level changing, cage pushing. Even if she gets away, do the same thing, and she could find success. And I do think that also the inside trips, she has a lot of sneaky inside trips that I do believe will work on Saturday for her. I think that she's going to be able to get some of those takedowns. I do think she's going to be able to kind of wear on her a little bit as well too. That will help this fight as it goes on. First round, again, I think is going to be a little bit dangerous, but I do think that Manon's going to make this a very competitive fight overall. And, you also look at, Manon having the success on the feet. We all know that she's going to have the sharper striking. We know that. But I do believe that the threat, just the threat of the takedowns is going to provide opportunity for Blanchfield. And again, Manon has not had to face anybody that is going to really be such an animal on the ground, to have such a lethal ground game where she could move forward. She could be comfortable. Even if there were certain takedowns, she was able to kind of create the space, be the bigger girl. And that is true that she probably will be the bigger girl, the stronger girl again. But again, if you don't have the cardio or you can't last or keep going with that, I think that's where you start to see some opportunities for her to kind of weaponize her cardio in Blanchfield, kind of weaponize it, push forward. She's able to fuel these takedowns. We know she can do that. We know she's durable. We know that she can take the big shots. And that's kind of where I'm going with this fight when I'm kind of looking at it. And also, I have here written down that the 10-year age gap. I mean, that's a massive number here where you're talking about 24 and 34 in this weight class in the women's division. That is just a wide gap in general. But I do believe that Manon can make this competitive. I think that first round, second round is going to be competitive. And I think that Manon could have the edge in those early exchanges. But I think as this fight goes on, I think that that's where you're going to see Blanchfield's toughness, her durability, her cardio, her wrestling, her winning the position. And that's more where I think this is going to go, where she's going to win positions over these 5 rounds. I don't see a finish here. I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest, but I don't see a finish here, where I do believe it's going to be more on the side where Blanchfield's going to bank some rounds. She's going to really positionally win, optically win for the judges, and over the 5 rounds, win on the scorecard. So for me here, we're getting off Erin Blanchfield. She's minus 190. I do like Blanchfield via points. It's plus 220. I really like that spot here. We did hit that last weekend. Rose Namajunas via points plus 260. I think that this is kind of a similar situation here, where you are going to have some competitive rounds, some competitive moments, and then that's just going to have to keep Blanchfield kind of, again, being, a little bit more risk adverse, finding opportunities to win position. So I do like her here to get the job done. Erin Blanchfield via points plus 220. Now, the next fight we're going to talk about here is going to be Chidi and Njokuani minus 156 and Reese McKee plus 220. Now, this one here, hold on. I forgot I even had this. We're going to be doing a lot of drinking in AC. So if you're out there, say hello. So this fight here, I think, is another interesting fight here, where you've got Chidi, got the favorite here. And this is a spot where both of these guys are 0-3 run in the UFC. And although Reese, he was out of the UFC, got a win or two, came back, but overall in his 3 fights in the UFC, he's lost all of them. But if you look at Chidi, Chidi was a guy that came into the UFC, had a little bit of hype behind him, goes to Dana White's Contender Series, gets a knockout victory. Then his next 2 fights goes out there, shows how explosive he is. He's, high-level Muay Thai, does have dynamic striking, and he goes out there and gets back-to-back knockouts, 3 knockouts in a row for him. And it really started to kind of build a little bit, say, hey, this guy is, he's rangy, he's big. There's a lot of things that he can do very well. And then he had 3 really shitty performances overall. Now, he ended up losing 3 in a row, knocked out twice. He was knocked out against Gregory Rodriguez. He was knocked out by Gregory Rodriguez. Then he was knocked out also by Mikhail Olenjachuk. And then he lost to Albert Duraev, which I thought the Duraev fight was just a terrible performance for him overall. Just did not look good at all. And there's definitely a lot of red flags on the Chidi side. Absolutely. And I do agree where this line's been kind of moving. I mean, where was it? It was like, minus plus 190 or wherever it was for McKee. Now we're looking at, it's plus 122. Money has definitely come in on him. And again, I do agree with that line movement. But the first thing when you look at Chidi and the issue is his cardio, man. I mean, it is shit. I mean, he does not have cardio. He has shown that early in the fight, he's explosive. There's great things that he can do. He's throwing big shots. If he lands and he really starts to hit, he's causing massive damage. He's got big movement, big power. And that has worked for him. But if it doesn't go his way, he starts to really slow down. His output starts to really go down. Guys he has walked down, like even Olenjachuk fight, he's walking the guy down. And all of a sudden, he had no energy. He had no cardio, nothing. The movement went down, the power, the energy all went down. And that is a huge issue for him when you're looking at it. The explosiveness, everything just went down. And that's a bad, bad, bad look overall. And then you got to start to sprinkle in, you got to question his heart, and the motivation. When things get tough for this guy, he's looking for the door. I mean, he's looking for a way out. Absolutely. And he has shown this consistently, and if it doesn't go his way, he's a great hammer. He can go out there and land the big shots and push forward, and guys are almost like, holy shit, this guy's got huge power. And then, and then he can either put them away, or if he doesn't and they start to return fire and he can't get the finish, he almost says, why is this guy not going down? And then he starts to play on the defense and doesn't just kind of let the fight play out, whether he doesn't have the cardio, which it does show, or his motivation or his ability starts going. Those are huge things overall. So you mix in the issue with the cardio, right? You mix in the motivation, him looking for the door when the times start to get tough in a fight. You add that in as well, too. Then you add in the fact that he's moving down in weight, which is, I think, a terrible, terrible, terrible move for him in this spot here, moving from middleweight to welterweight. He was already a massive guy, and he has talked about in multiple past interviews, he has openly said he would never go down in weight again. He would never go down in weight. He was talking about how it's ruined his body, how he didn't like it, all these things that just do not sound good. And this is the kind of situation where this guy has some losses, and people start to change weight classes, and we've all seen it. Whether it works or not, most of the time, I don't think it works, where, the guy is just at this point where he's kind of, trying to escape the boogeyman. He's trying to look for opportunities to say, hey, maybe I can be the size bully, or maybe this division isn't the right division for me, or whatever it may be. So you add in that now too, where he's going to be draining himself. He already has shit cardio. He already has struggled with energy and motivation. Now he's got to cut weight, very difficult for him. And now it's going to probably drain him and be more of a shell of the guy that he was. And he's been losing, I think more at a healthy weight class for him. And then you sprinkle in, he's 35. I mean, a lot of things are going against Chidi in this spot here, where you've got Rice. He is 28 years old. And then you got Reese on your side here, that he's, he did go on an 0-3 run. And I do, you do see that, but, he lost to some decent guys and also bad stylistic matchups. Let me make sure. Look at blurry there again. But bad stylistic matchups here. And, he lost to Chimaev. Can't blame him to lose in that fight. Loses to Alex Morono, who's a tough fighter as well, too. And then Ange Lusa, he loses to him as well. Now, the thing that really costed him in those fights is the takedowns. He is absolutely vulnerable to being taken down, being controlled, being held down there. Those are the things that, these guys have done. Over those 3 fights, he was taken down 10 times. When he's on his back, he looks lost. He doesn't look like he knows what to do. And that's definitely an opening for Chidi. But I don't think Chidi's going to be looking for any takedowns. I don't think he's got the ability to kind of continually wrestle, continually get takedowns. Could he shoot early and get a takedown? Sure, there's a possibility for that. But can he do it over 3 rounds or any of that kind of stuff? I don't think so at all. I also think Chidi knows I can't push a wrestling pace. So he's more of a guy that's going to stand and strike, and that's what he's going to be looking to do here. And McKee, he does have cardio. He does have cardio. I think he can continually push forward. I think he's going to have the volume. I think that if he can kind of weather that early storm, I think all of these things I just talked about are really going to build up against Chidi. And I think that it's going to cost him in this spot. I think that he, again, if he can, McKee can, weather that first storm early in the fight, I think then, that at a very high clip, he finds an opportunity, I think, to win in the second, win in the third, win a decision, put Chidi away. I think, getting out of that first, the win probability really skyrockets for Reese here. So I like the plus money here. I'm taking it. I agree with the line movement. So I'm taking Reese McKee plus 122 as another free play. Now, the last one we're going to talk about here is going to be Ibo Iceland versus Anton Njokuani. Now, you've got Ibo, he is minus 130, and you've got Anton, he is plus 105. Now, this is a rematch that I don't think anybody asked for. When you're kind of looking at this here, this was a rematch that they did fight back in 2020 and under another organization. I think it was Brave FC. And in that fight there, early, you kind of saw some of the issues that happen with Anton now. And it's the fact that he's a hittable guy. And you did see Ivo go out there, damage, land some big shots, hurt Anton. And then you see the issue that we kind of, I think, all kind of see if you've went and watched any kind of tape, is that, Ivo doesn't have a gas tank. He's a guy that any kind of fight is extended. He's going to, start to kind of, everything's going to start to slow down a little bit for him. And you did see in that fight where Anton's second round was able to go out there and get a submission victory. Now, Anton comes in from the UFC, Dana White's Contender Series, wins by decision, but boy, they did not really set him up too easily when you're looking at some of the fights that they set him up with here. They fed him to Jailton Almeida, can't hate it there. Almeida ends up getting the victory there by submission. Then he loses to Vitor Petrino by decision, which was a 30-27. I think one card was like 30-26, but in that spot, you saw the holes in the striking defense of Anton. I mean, the guy blocks punches with his face. He does not, he looked to show to me maybe somewhat durable, landing these big shots as, Vitor was landing, taking him down, control. He basically did whatever he kind of wanted to do to him in that spot there, and he ends up getting a victory. And then the fight against Tyson Pedro. Now, this was actually a fight where we did bet Tyson Pedro in this spot. He did win for us there by knockout, but little did we all know at that time that Tyson Pedro had one foot out the door. He was, I'm assuring that he was already looking for a retirement and ending it. And then he ends up getting this knockout. And then he started to think, hey, maybe I should, try to fight the next level up, and he loses. But this to me just shows again that he sparked him out, Anton out. And, it's just, he's hittable. And Ivo brings big power. This guy has heavy hands. He's big. He's strong. He's explosive. And Anton just has not shown the ability to really defend strikes very well. Now, could he take down Ivo? Yes, there's an opportunity for him to go out there, get a takedown, get the control time, bank rounds, that kind of stuff, and really kind of smother Ivo and take all the energy out. There's absolutely that, because we've already seen, again, fights get extended. He looks like shit as this fight goes on. But overall, I think Anton's skill level is just low. I don't think it's that good. Also, I think his fight IQ is terrible as well. I think he makes a lot of mistakes when he's out there, leaves his chin up, lackluster striking defense, just does not look good. And you also start to factor in now, this is part of the capping, but not all of it. But you kind of look at kind of the trajectory of these guys. You've got Anton, who is on an 0-3 run, and there's a really, really good chance he's fighting for his job. He gets knocked out. You're going to go see him in another organization. That's going to be it for him. And you look at the other side, where Ivo just signed with the UFC for, I think it was a 3 or 4 fight contract, somewhere around there, that they just signed him for. So this is a guy UFC believes in. UFC must like this guy in some capacity. I'm not saying that they think he's going to be this superstar, because I got to sign all kinds of people with different contracts. But the setup to this, to me, is more a show me spot for Ivo, where I feel like they believe this is a great spot for him. My opinion on that. I mean, obviously that's a little bit more tinfoil hat kind of stuff, but I just think that this is a guy that they just signed. They got another guy they're about to kick out the door. And I think, guy has big power, strong. I think this is a spot where he could land big shots here. And, you also look at it that he's got 12, I think I wrote it down here, 12 victories. All of them were knockouts. I mean, this guy brings big power overall. So I do believe he lands a big shot. I think the shot will be there. I think there's a high probability on the knockout. We have seen that is really where, he gets his victories, all 12 coming by knockout. I think that the knockout is live, but I'm also comfortable just picking him here. The line is not crazy wide. And that for me is, I don't try to get overly creative when I'm looking at a fight and looking to place, some money on it. Obviously, these I'm not placing as much as I do in my client plays. This is a very, very small amount compared to what I bet on my client plays, but this is still a spot where, I don't think we need to get greedy here. I think Ivo, there's a good chance that he could get that knockout, and I may be playing that. But I think in this spot here, as of right now, I do like Ivo to get the job done. -130, I think is a good number. And I think that he definitely can go out there and get the job done. So there you have it for UFC Vegas, Atlantic City. Those are my plays. If you want to become a client, link down in the description. I will be there Saturday, pumped up for it, man. I'm fucking pumped up for it. We'll be hanging out at the casino, those kinds of things as well too. So listen, hit me up. Let me know what you guys are doing, and be there with a bunch of people. And I got second row tickets. Yeah, I got second row tickets. So there you have it. And let's do this next weekend, and let's cash.